Welcome to the show today. Today I have Baris Ersezer on the show. I'm very excited to have you here and dive a little bit into your personal story, a little bit into your vision. You are the head of digital product excellence at Merck Group. And let's go into your story right away. Let's see what we come up with. Let's see where we're going on this journey. Now, tell me a bit more about some of the defining moments in your life, maybe one or two that really shaped your journey, that shaped your path, that got us to where we are today.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you to invite me to this show. Yeah, it's a pleasure to share with you and all the internet people my story. So, if I need to present myself in the digital world, I would say that when I was young, I was already interested by all these gadgets, toys I had, and I was not interested to play with them, but I was really interested to open them and see inside how it was built, etc. So I was always interested how people can build this kind of toys and how it was working. So it's really the beginning, I think, for me of this journey in the digital world. Later, when I grew up, I was always interested as well about programming. So even starting my studies in computer science, I was interested to write my own program and having something running based on my decisions. And so the machine was reacting the way I wanted. So I think I really started my journey as discovering things, and I was discovering and more I was interested by all this technology. Later, I had chance to study computer science and start to work in different industry. My first experience is really about smart cards and all this embedded application we can put in a really small chip. It was really interesting to be able to have something in our pocket that has intelligence, encryption mechanism, etc. And later, I had chance to work as a freelancer, and I moved from one industry to another to really build my, knowledge about how we can use the software in different industry to help people. And I end up now in this healthcare industry where I believe that the application or the software is really useful for people to save their life or to help them to live better in their journey or in this treatment. So this is, let's say, my own journey here.
I love this topic. Kind of the word that comes up is curiosity. You know, you've been a very curious child, opening the gadgets, looking into it, trying to figure out how things work. It's just this natural curiosity that drives you and that made you grow as a person as well and as a leader. It's very, very interesting. Now, talking about people, are there some people that you feel really had an impact on your life along the way that really shaped who you become today?
I had many managers in different companies that I always tried to learn from them. So I remember my first manager in Canada. I was working there, and he was really positive person, giving us really a good environment to work in. And even when we had the stress and we had the deadlines, he was always saying, "Don't worry, life is just a long story that finish with the same end. So you don't need to care too much during this journey because we know the ends." And it was like, don't be stressed, etc. So I really remember his way of explaining us how we should behave during stress mode, etc. And I can add other examples like that. I have different managers showing us really trust. So the trust was really important for me from the different leaders I have encountered, and their way of explaining things and delegating activities instead of just giving direction was really interesting for me. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting to hear, you know, kind of like how people shape you. And also it's very good to hear that, you know, it's been the managers, it's been the leaders. So there's some really good leaders, good managers out there that make people grow, that help people expand and become better and grow. Now, taking one step back into your childhood, is there some kind of a dream that you had as a child where you say, "I want to become RoboCop," or "I want to, I want to, do something crazy," or become a firefighter? I don't know, something like that. Is there something, a childhood dream that you had back then that you really wanted to fulfill?
Well, based on what I remember, of course, I don't remember all the dreams I had, but one of the dream, or not dream, but let's say wish I had was really well, it was based on experience I had in the primary school. We had like a small one-day discovery of professional life, and I went to see someone working with computers and using really, well, I was really young, so it was big computers with less, let's say, processing powers, but this guy was really using computers and transforming the pictures. So he was taking pictures with his camera, and he was transforming all of this with his processing, and he was making big prints, and it was used in the different events. So it was really taking a small picture and making bigger and bigger with different optical devices and computers. And I was really amazed by what we can do from a picture. And it was not just printing the picture, but making really huge posters. And I was fascinated about what a machine can do, and compared to what a human can do, because if we want to draw a huge picture, it will take lots of paint and a lot of time. And here it was like I take the picture and then I transform it. So the transformation of a picture to a bigger poster was really giving me an idea of what I would like to do in the future. It was not, of course, in this typical activity, but I really wanted to work with machines. I don't know why, I'm always interested by machines. Yeah.
Very, very interesting, especially also like looking at a specific experience where, it was about taking a small picture and making it really big by using a machine, which is basically a vehicle to leverage something, right? To leverage something maybe small into something really, really big. It's such an interesting thing that this stuck with you. There's a reason why this stuck with you, and yeah. It seems like it's a lot about scale and leverage, and making something big. And it's also that what drives me to the next piece of the conversation, which is more about the passion for your sector, for the area we're in. You talked about this in the first time we talked as well, about healthcare and really improving people's lives. It seems to be a thing that really drives you. So tell me more about that. Like, why healthcare? Why are you in this sector? And why are you in this specific area that you're working in?
Yeah, so I explained, I was a freelancer and I moved from different industry to industry. I have seen telecommunication, public transportation, even printers. So I was able always to, as a developer or as a team leader, to focus on a problem and solve the issue by providing an application, and the application will really help the people to work in their domain. For example, for telecommunication, it will help people to communicate, etc. So understanding that the software is really embedded in everything, and the best way to help people to have a better life, I was thinking that healthcare is really the industry where the software is useful, but at the same time is not at the point yet like in other industry, because all this regulation around the healthcare industry and the timelines to build something and to put it on the market is really big compared to other industry. I was seeing that there were still some gaps in healthcare industry, and I was really motivated to bring my knowledge about other industry to this industry and accelerate maybe the innovation in this industry. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, especially if talking about improving people's lives and making a big impact. Healthcare is of course an area where you can, by design, have a big impact with technology. Reminding me of small picture, turning it into a big picture. It's I think it's a great storyline, which drives me into the next question. Like, do you feel that there's been a red thread a storyline, a personal mission, something like that in your life that followed you, some sort of a tagline, a slogan, personal mission, that a pattern that you feel like, well, it's that's kind of like the red thread of my life?
Yeah. Well, I was really shy when I was young. And when I finished my studies, I wanted to change and to start my professional life. And I decided to take a challenge. So I said, maybe let's start with a challenge before accepting any first job. And at the end of my studies, I went to an exchange program, Erasmus exchange program in Finland. And the goal of this move was not just to discover Finland, because it's just another European country, but my challenge was, okay, how I will behave when I will be in a difficult situation. I don't know the country, and I was still living with my family, my parents, and I decided to move. My first step was to move somewhere to discover new things, and then learning there. So my wish was to go there and learn new things, and based on what I will learn, I wanted to create something, and then I wanted to be successful in this journey. So this was really, I can define it now, but at this time I was not defining it like that. It was just, let's try a new challenge, and I will see my own limitation. And based on this, I think I really built all my career like that. I moved from different industry to different industry. I started to learn because it was new for me. And I spent time after learning to apply what I was learning. So my focus is really to create something. And when I create something and it is useful for people and it is a success for the company and success for the users, I feel like I achieved something. So it is really the way I'm approaching any problem. My first problem was myself. So I wanted to really break my limits. And now I think in the healthcare industry, the same approach, I can bring this approach to the healthcare industry. In healthcare industry, we have a lot of problems, and a lot of people are still having issues in their life, and we have not a lot of innovation to do. And if I approach the same way with healthcare industry, is to understand the problem, moving forward to the problem and not avoiding it, and learning what are the current situation, understanding what can be solutions. When we have a good picture about what can be done, it's really to put all the effort on the creation of the solution, and on the of course the just creating the solution is not enough for me. It's really having an achievement at the end that is really making a change in the life of someone, or it's making really an improvement on something that is existing. I don't want just to copy what is existing and bring a new product that is equivalent to the competitors, etc. But it's really to make the difference and bring something new and one step ahead. And I believe that this is possible with having a partnership. Of course, it's not a work of one person or one company. I believe that the collaboration between companies with their own expertise bring together a solution that really make the change. This is a way I see my contribution to this industry.
Very, very interesting viewpoint. And staying on the topic of the industry, maybe you can share a little bit about your perspective of where we stand today in healthcare and where you would like to see healthcare in 5 years from today.
Well, healthcare is really a huge industry. What I can share is really on the digital healthcare or e-healthcare. We have different names, but maybe I can give an interesting point of view only on the digital part of the healthcare. And what I'm seeing now is since few years, we had already big improvements, big changes in e-health, where we had all smartphones and mobile application, and we have computers, we have internet that is connecting people. For example, the doctors are connected to their patients using different tools, but mainly using the internet technology. The current situation is like we just catch up on the what's happening on different industries. So we had the social media first 10 years ago, and then now the social media technology is used in the medical device or healthcare industry. But for me, we are still trying to catch up, and what should be the future is not trying to only bring the existing technology to healthcare, but as well think about the healthcare industry as itself and not copying it from other industry. And when we focus on the users, we can see that let's say it's again a projection in the future. What should be really useful for people is not to bring them a new product for them to use. We should not ask people to learn a new application and to learn a new way in the life of people. They already have a digital life, let's say. They already have their habits. They have their cars connected. Maybe they have a smartphone. They have their television connected. And the way we can really help people should be not to bring a new device in their house, saying this is a new device just for treatment of your disease, but we should integrate within their existing digital life. So if they have a mobile application, we should not create a new mobile application. We should integrate with the existing mobile application. That's why I was talking about the partnership. So we should have a strong partnership in this industry, that things are connected and not just sitting there side by side. And the really change in the life of people, they should not be considered as patient, but they should be considered as just human, and they have already their digital life, and the service we are bringing to them should be through the existing channels they already have and they are using.
I love many of the things you said, and two things that just stand out is like not bringing something new as there's something else now I need to use, but really integrating. And which of course means building a lot of partnerships, a lot of collaborations, doing things together. And the other things is, well, it's not about patients, it's about humans. Because then suddenly your spectrum becomes ways bigger. Everything you look at becomes ways bigger. And it's not just a narrow focus on, okay, it's one specific situation in somebody's specific life, but now it's ways bigger than that, ways bigger. And also creates an actual thinking of an ecosystem versus just, okay, if they're sick, now they're a target segment for us.
Yeah.
So this is
my idea of talking about human and not patient is we should use the let's say new technologies like cloud computing and the powerful data centers we have, and all different sensors, IoT devices to help people even before they are sick. Because if we see the way that collecting data and bringing information or insights to the people should not focus only once we have the diagnosis of the disease and we are trying to help people to be treated or to live with their disease, but we should maybe help them to avoid to be sick and to avoid to be in a certain condition. And this is possible when we start to understand humans and not understand the disease itself. The disease is the consequences, but the main problem is probably before, and where we can have a big change is helping people to not get sick and not helping people to recover.
This is a huge change, and I love that focus, which makes a lot of sense. Now, along your journey, you probably had some great successes and some great failures as well. And out of these, there's probably been some interesting lessons that you learned. Can you give us one example of maybe a success, maybe a failure that happened in your professional life, on your journey, where you learned a lot, and what kind of lesson you learned out of that?
So in 20 years of experience, of course, I had a lot of failures and a lot of success. Not giving you directly an example, but the main message I have from my failure is we always fail when we don't understand the users. So we can have a good idea, We can imagine that it's the greatest idea in the world and put all the effort and millions of investment. But if nobody wants to use it, it's really a failure. Beside this, the success for me is exactly the opposite of it. We are successful on a digital product only if we have people using it. As I said, the main topic is not the idea, but is if the people or if the end users want to use it. And all my failures or all my learning about this was always focused on users. Everybody can be happy, but if we don't have users, the product is just going to the museum. Yeah.
That's a big piece there. I mean, just taking that one sentence, and I think what you said is, we always fail when we don't understand the user. I mean, that is a very strong statement, and it's so true, and it's so visible in the marketplace everywhere. And it's just a brilliant piece of wisdom that you just put in there. Now, a little bit into the leadership conversation. Now, with leading teams and leading an organization, there's challenges, there's balance that you need to be keeping, and it's sometimes tricky to perform really well, be successful, and also stay sane at the same time. So how do you keep that balance? How do you make sure that you are successful in what you do and also stay sane at the same time?
Yeah, so the leadership for me is really focusing on people. So there are a lot of methodology to say a good way to manage a project is to control the budget, control the resource, control the cost and the scope, etc. But all of these are about the product itself, about the process itself. But I believe that a leader is not only someone that is focusing on the methodology and process and just applying what is coming from the studies, etc. But is really focusing on people. So to be able to have a successful team working together, and we should focus on people, understand their purpose. Everyone has our own purpose, and if we are not aligned and on this purpose, if every day we are coming to work for different purpose, the product or the project will be going in different ways. So someone would like to have a product that is looking nice, someone else will focus on technology, etc. All of this should happen, we should discuss, but the role of the leader is probably to understand people and understand how he can make the people to work together. And of course, during the project, we always have at the beginning good moments. We have to build the team, and we have a challenge to understand people. Once we understand, we will have different phases where we will have conflicts because of stress or different things. And the role of the leader, I think, again, is to stay positive and to give a positive message to all team members, and that the team members can really feel comfortable, and then they will be creative. They will create innovation. They will produce a nice product. And the role of the leader is not to tell people what to do, but to ask them how to work together and how should be the product. Yeah.
This is really, really interesting. Like, there's two things that I hear out of that. First thing is creating an environment for people. And maybe the first thing is really understanding people. Number one, really understanding and listening, really understanding what people are looking for, their needs. Same, of course, with customers, and same with the people in your team. And then creating an environment where people can flourish, where people can work together, where people have the tools, capabilities, and resources, and ways more than that, but also to feel safe, feel secure, in order for them to perform at their best. This is a really, really great point there. Now, talk about leadership a little bit further. Everybody has their own definition of leadership. For some people, it means this, it means that. I know what you talked about the role of the leader, but leadership in general, what does it mean to you personally? What does leadership mean to you personally?
For me, it's really about the behavior of the person. So if we are talking about leadership, we are talking about someone, and we are not talking about the idea. We are not talking about the industry. It's really whatever the industry, whatever the product, whatever the size of the company, the leader is someone that try to be the example for others. So the leadership is really a behavior, and is really being an example for people. And I don't think the size of the company, the size of the product, etc., is really attached to the word leadership. We can be a really good leader in well, we have the World Cup now, we are in the football, and it's really helping the team and giving the example and really participating to the effort as well. Can be a leader, and we can take example in different activities, etc. And for example, at home, when we have family, we have as well this leadership role with kids, etc. So I think leadership is it's a way of living and giving example to others, and trying to help people and to understand people more than just like in professional life. We have a grade, we have a status or a title, and it's related to leadership. I don't think this is the case.
It's beautiful what you said there. It's a way of life. You know, it's a lifestyle choice basically. Leadership, or no leadership. You know,
yes.
At the end of the day, it is a choice, right? It's really interesting the way you look at that. Now, I'll get a bit of a bigger question, I guess, a bit more out there. If you had a magic wand, if you were a magician, and you could wave that magic wand and wish for anything you wanted, what would you wish for that could potentially amplify or multiply your impact 10 times, 100 times, or maybe even 1,000 times?
I think it's again related to what I just explained. To be able to be successful is to understand people. If I was able to read in the mind of people and understanding what they want, etc., really having this magic piece, having the insights from what people want, etc. Because by having interviews, talking with people, we always have a filter. We have the first filter of people explaining something. They are shy, or they are not open to explain everything they want or everything they wish. And we have a second filter, which is my own filter. I have my own filter to understand people. When they are explaining me something, I will always use my own experience to try to understand and not to get the message completely. And if I had a magic wand, will be really to break all these filters and having direct access to the information. And this can be done as well with digital. And if we have sensors, etc., instead of asking people what they want for the following days, etc., if we can just understand and not ask. And I think this will be really a big change, and everything that I will propose, create, etc., will be, as you said, 1 million times maybe more efficient. Yeah.
This is very interesting. You know, on the one side, of course, you know, this topic of reading people's mind is sort of like the magic wand. But then it's interesting how it translates into business, because you know, you can ask people what they want, they will tell you something, but maybe they will then take an action that goes completely against that, right? Because maybe they think they want something, but by expressing something, they want something completely different. And it's just beautiful to see, okay, mind reading is sort of this, you know, out there thing, right? But then if you look at it in a digital context, well, we're getting closer to that, actually. Of course, not the crazy idea of mind reading, maybe one day, but more about the difference between what people say and what they do. This is really, really interesting. So brilliant.
This is why the cloud and IoT technology is really exciting, because this will help to have maybe a better understanding, because it will not, of course, remove all barriers, but it will help us to having the sensors, having the data collection, etc. Of course, for the good purpose, because we should respect the privacy of people. But this can give probably insights to different industry and mainly in healthcare as well, to anticipate on what people really need and not just trying to ask and get the answer and try with a product and it's not working and try another one. Just to reduce all these iterations, I think the digital healthcare or digital life of people can help to go further in the understanding.
Absolutely, yeah. And at the end of the day, it's also a tool, like a hammer. You can build a house with a hammer, or you can kill somebody, right? At the end of the day, I think we humans are naturally good. That's at least the way I look at life. And I think we're hopefully gonna use these technologies and those tools for the good of humanity and for the good of the planet and everything around us. So I really appreciate you taking the time being here on the show, Baris. Thank you so much. I'm gonna link to the resources below this video, to the company website as well, what's your LinkedIn profile, so people can, of course, understand better what you guys are up to, what you're launching, but also to connect on opportunities, because, there's always interesting opportunities that come out of these conversations. If it's a talent or a partnership or whatever conversation, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, there's opportunities all around us. So Baris, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, and if people want to contact me with all the links you will put on the page, feel free to contact me, and I will be happy to exchange with everyone. Yeah.